All right. So, Monty, would you mind, since it's past 12 o'clock, would you mind just giving an intro again to
Absolutely.
the individuals that just piled in?
No problem at all. Welcome all that are new. Once again, I want to reintroduce myself. My name is Monty Sylvan. I'm the coordinator for AdvaMed's membership department. Today, we have a wonderful presentation aligned for you guys here today with our host, Greg Montalbano, the CEO for MIDI, as well as Simon Johnson, Senior VP of Marketing for MedAcuity. Today's presentation is entitled The Exploration of DTX's Evolving Landscape, Unlocking the Potential for Transformative Patient Outcomes. Once they get started, which will be momentarily, feel free to ask questions, and they will in the Q&A section, and those questions will be answered toward the end of the webinar. Try to avoid using the chat, or they will not be able to see it. And we just want to make sure everyone has a chance to have their questions answered.
All right. Well, thank you, Monty, for your introduction, and many thanks to AdvaMed for sponsoring today's webinar on the topic of digital therapeutics. And hello, everyone. I'm Gregory Montalbano, the CEO of MIDI Medical Product Development and the co-host of today's webinar. And we welcome everyone to today's webinar entitled The Exploration of DTX's Evolving Landscape and Unlocking the Potential for Transformative Patient Outcomes. And in this webinar, we'll dive into the topic that is revolutionizing the healthcare landscape, digital therapeutics. We'll explore the world of DTX and delve into definition, significance, and potential impact on healthcare. And today's webinar will be presenting by myself, as well as Simon Johnson, the Senior VP of Sales and Marketing at MedAcuity, which is a premier software development partner serving the medical industry. With that said, I'll kick off the webinar by giving you a brief overview of my professional background and how MIDI serves our medical client development needs. So I am the principal owner of MIDI, and MIDI is a full-service medical product development consulting firm. I have over 30 years of experience developing medical and life science devices and platforms for startups, emerging companies, and large medical OEM manufacturers. And my background is in digital and industrial design with a heavy focus on UX and UI, ergonomics, as well as commercialization. And I also serve as an external advisor to TMC Innovation, Columbia Culture BioMedX Accelerator, and Stony Brook University's High Technology Incubator Center. And I'm also an active associate member of AdvaMed and the Industrial Designer Society of America. Next, I'd like to give you a brief background about MIDI. So MIDI is a total solutions medical and life science product development consulting firm that works with partnership with our clients to develop next step innovation around their med tech and biotech applications. And our services start from early market and voice of the customer research through to full design, engineering, and commercialization of a device or system under design controls. And we have a dedicated development team across multiple disciplines which cross-pollinate their expertise to generate competitive differentiation and forward thinking for the clients we serve. And now, Simon, would you mind discussing your professional background as well and an overview of MedAcuity services?
Sure. Thank you, Greg, and thank you for everyone who's joined the webinar. So as Greg said, Simon Johnson, Senior Vice President, Sales and Marketing here at MedAcuity. Before I get into MedAcuity, like Greg, a bit of background on myself. I have a career in tech that spans around 25 years and is roughly split in half between consulting and engineering as well as sales. So previous to joining MedAcuity, which I did just over a year ago, I worked for a company called MedAcuity, which is a leading digital consultancy. And I was brought in there to set up the client partner team. Client partners were responsible for strategic client development within the healthcare vertical, as well as other verticals. Before that, Green Pages, where I was brought in to drive the transformation to a services-led organization. We ended up selling that to a private equity firm, Avery Partners, in 2020. Prior to that, I worked across the US, the Bay Area, and here in Massachusetts, as well as Europe for Seagate. Seagate wanted to move up the stack. And I was brought in to set up services globally. And then I spent 12 years before that, which is really where I cut my teeth in consulting and engineering, and then moved into practice lead and service development at a global consulting organization called Glasshouse Technologies. I've had the privilege of working across multiple geographies. As you can probably tell from my accent, I'm not native to the US. So I started in Europe and EMEA, and I've done work in North America and Latin America also. So that's a bit about myself. Now let's go on to talk about MedAcuity. So MedAcuity are a full stack end-to-end software consulting organization. We were established in 2007. We have over 300 completed projects and over 100 software engineers with some significant tenure. And as a result of the quality of work that MedAcuity do, we have a very high repeat business rate, which we're very proud of. We work across, as I said, the software stack, firmware and embedded systems, application development, user interfaces, and cloud and advanced technologies. We are certified by our QMS with our 13485 certification to work on fully regulated systems. And we also, at our Westford facility, have labs where we house a lot of our clients' robotics and devices that we can work on. We have, from a client perspective, we work with Fortune 50 companies through to stealth-based startups and everything in between. So even though we're based here in North America, we have clients across the US and indeed across the world. And we're going to talk today through this about some of our experience building DTX systems with them. And when we get to the end of this, I'm going to go into some use cases on DTX platforms that we've worked with and supported. Thank you, Greg.
All right. So listed within this agenda are 6 DTX subjects Simon and I will explore with you today. To kick off our webinar, we'll begin with an overview of the fundamentals of DTX, and you'll learn the precise definition of DTX and how it has evolved over time. And by exploring the retrospective history of connectivity in healthcare, you'll gain a deeper understanding of the roots that have led us to the current state of DTX. We'll discuss the present landscape of DTX and explore the existing prospects for its future developments. Next, we'll delve into the challenges and risks specific to digital therapeutics with a focus on architecture, design, and critical measures that ensure data privacy and integrity. We'll also explore operational considerations and regulatory challenges and ways to navigate potential hurdles in the implementation of DTX solutions. Moving on, we'll explore the relationships between artificial intelligence and DTX. And you'll discover the advantages AI brings to digital therapeutics and the challenges that need to be addressed. And by understanding AI's role in DTX, you'll grasp how it enhances personalized interventions and empowers predictive analytics. We'll explore future trends and opportunities in digital therapeutics, and we'll examine future possibilities by discussing emerging trends and applications in DTX that optimize patient outcomes. Also, we'll explore the DTX ecosystem and its ideology and discuss the categories and clinical claims of digital therapeutics to highlight their versatile disease coverage. Then we'll delve into human-centric design ideology, emphasizing the patient prioritization, and discuss the significance of UI/UX design, ensuring usability and effectiveness of DTX solutions. Following that, we'll showcase unique DTX case studies, providing you with a comprehensive outline of implementation and impact of these products. And you'll gain valuable insights into real-world examples that demonstrate the efficacy and benefits of digital therapeutics, giving you tangible evidence on how DTX can transform patient outcomes and healthcare delivery. And finally, we'll conclude our webinar with an engaging session of participant questions and answers. And this is your opportunity to seek clarification, share your thoughts, and engage in insightful exchanges with Simon and myself. And we encourage your active participation to maximize your understanding and gain valuable knowledge from this session. So we have some terrific content and a great deal of unique educational topics to cover. But before we get started, I would like to remind everybody attending to enter any questions at the end, and we'll try to answer as many questions as possible in the last segment of this webinar. So please note, all registrants will receive a link to the recording of this webinar within a few business days. If anyone has follow-up questions or would like to talk with Simon and or myself, our contact information will be shared with all the participants. So starting the webinar off, so what exactly are digital therapeutics? So in a nutshell, digital therapeutics refers to evidence-based therapeutic interventions delivered through digital platforms such as mobile apps, software programs, or other digital devices. These interventions are designed to be personalized, scalable, and cost-effective for the prevention, management, or treatment of specific medical conditions, complementing or even replacing traditional approaches. So digital therapeutics prioritize clinically validated interventions developed and rigorously tested on scientific principles for safety and efficacy. By leveraging AI and machine learning and big data analytics, DTX solutions offer personalized and adaptive user experience. DTX offers numerous advantages over conventional healthcare methods. Firstly, DTX has the potential to extend access to high quality care beyond the confines of traditional healthcare settings. And secondly, digital therapeutics empower patients by putting them at the center of their own care, enabling them to take charge of their health and make informed decisions to promote healthy habits. And third, digital therapeutics have the potential to improve healthcare outcomes while reducing costs by delivering personalized interventions at scale. Digital therapeutics address a wide range of conditions. Listed on this slide are 6 common use cases for digital therapeutics. And the first is chronic disease management. And these are digital therapeutics that can assist in managing chronic conditions like diabetes, hypertension, or respiratory diseases. These provide tools for monitoring symptoms, tracking medication adherence, and promoting behavioral changes. The next is mental health support. And these are DTX solutions which can support anxiety, depression, and stress, and they may include cognitive behavioral therapy modules such as mindfulness exercises and virtual therapy sessions. The next is substance use disorders, and these are solutions that play a role in intervention and recovery. And they include programs that offer cognitive restructuring techniques, relapse prevention strategies, and connection to support networks. The next could be sleep disorders, and these are DTX solutions that may include cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, sleep tracking devices, relaxation techniques to improve sleep and quality patterns. The next DTX could be pain management. So these are digital therapeutics that provide non-pharmacological approaches for managing chronic pain conditions. These may include virtual reality-based pain therapy management programs or physical exercises. And next, cognitive training. These are DTX programs that can be used to improve cognitive function in individuals with conditions such as injury or age-related cognitive decline. Next, rehabilitation and physical therapy. So these are digital therapeutics that can assist after injuries, surgeries, or stroke. They provide guided exercises, range of motion tracking, and progress monitoring. So these are just a handful of examples on how digital therapeutics are being utilized to address various health conditions. Now, I would like to briefly outline the benefits of digital therapeutics to traditional healthcare. And the first is improved access to care. This allows individuals in remote areas to have access to healthcare facilities and receive timely and effective treatment. Next, the benefit is personalized and adaptive interventions. This offers personalized interventions based upon individual needs, leveraging technologies like AI and machine learning to tailor treatment plans. An additional benefit is enhanced patient engagement and empowerment, which involves active participation, providing education, real-time feedback, and behavioral change. The next benefit is cost-effective and scalable solutions, which provides solutions by leveraging technology to deliver interventions at scale, which has the potential to reduce healthcare costs. Next is data-driven insights. And this enables healthcare providers to analyze patient information, identify trends, and make informed decisions for enhanced clinical decision-making. And last but not least, for DTX, is complementary to traditional care, whereby they work in synergy with traditional healthcare approaches, augmenting the expertise of healthcare professionals and enhancing the overall quality of care delivered. And these benefits demonstrate the transformative potential of digital therapeutics, improving healthcare and patient outcomes for their well-being.
Thanks, Greg. So Greg went through there kind of a background of DTX and, examples and benefits around it. I now, per the agenda, want to push into some of the software challenges and opportunities that existed around that. And I want to start with the history of connectivity. If you look at DTX and its effectiveness, there's a direct correlation between computational and connectivity development and the expansion of DTX. I think, it's for everyone on this webinar, the speed at which technology has advanced over the last 30 years has been substantial. And those, computational developments since 1970 has complemented biological research. And it's enabling us to move with DTX. And we're going to go into some of these use cases, but it's enabling us to move from treatment to prevention. It's also coupled with the growth of digital biomarkers. So the ability to collect data from multiple different sensors, multiple devices, and pull it in. And you can see here, this diagram on the bottom left really shows, this is not a diagram that is, relates to DTX and or, healthcare. It just shows the evolution of computing. And for those on this call that have been in the industry, and as I said, I started in consulting, we've kind of lived through this, the homogeneous clusters, moving to grid computing, the development of cloud computing, which really has opened up significant access to technology through platform and software as a service type systems, through to ubiquitous computing, Internet of Things, and now decentralized ledgers and AI, which we're going to come on and talk about. That rapid development has really expanded the efficacy and the reach of digital therapeutics. And you can see there on the top right, the computing power, the data storage and connectivity that's improved, and then the expansion and the development from big data, when we could collate huge amounts of data and we had the computational power to run algorithms on that, machine learning, through to AI, which we're really just on the forefront now of positioning. And you can see in the bottom right there the areas that support DTX. So you've got the telehealth enablement. A lot of what happened through COVID and the remote access to healthcare drove acceleration through that. The expansion of sensors and IoT and access to information have all culminated in the expansion of digital therapeutics and really providing the ability to provide a far more personalized level of healthcare. Because, there's an old adage, but a good one, everybody is different. And the way our bodies react and the stresses that I'll come on to demand a different level of care. So direct correlation between the expansion of DTX and the expansion of connectivity and computation. And now we'll start to look at some of the architectural challenges. So how is it delivered? So it's directly delivered to patients using evidence-based, clinically evaluated software, i.e. mobile apps. And software is the very key of that. Connectivity, the data ingestion, the data processing, and the algorithms. And without software, there really is no DTX. So what is the value that comes around it? Well, Greg touched on this, and I just talked about some of it. It's really improving patient care by analyzing data to make therapeutic and wellness adjustments. You can go to a PCP or you can go into a hospital and you can be diagnosed, but even with that research that's gone on, there are a huge amount of variables that impact each of us, how we react to stressful environments, how our bodies react to exercise, diet, the impact of lifestyle on us. And, the kind of broad brush approach has got far more scientific as medical evolution has gone along. But really, DTX gives us the ability to track individuals and understand how they are responding and how their lifestyle choices are impacting the levels of intervention they need. So it's really allowing a significant personalization of healthcare and an acceleration of that personalization of healthcare. Where has it been relevant to date? Greg did a great job of covering this: chronic pain, diabetes, mental health. I think mental health is still reasonably embryonic in terms of its journey, and there's huge expansion that can come with technology to support that, which I think is fantastic, because a much needed area for expansion there. And overall, where is it heading? In the same way that technology is expanding rapidly, and we are seeing AI, and we are seeing the ability of machines to drive a lot better experience for us, we're expecting huge growths in data sets and the ability, more importantly, to analyze those data sets. So to collect and create big data pools has been something that's been there for a while, but now we actually have the computational power and the algorithms and the intelligence of those algorithms to learn to actually make and inform decisions around it. It's going to require a shift in terms of how clinical trials are managed. It's going to require a shift in terms of reimbursements, and Greg is going to touch on some of that. But there's really a huge opportunity to bring into account the telemedicine, the remote monitoring, and the technology aspects to improve the overall 360 analysis of clients and provide a very personalized level of care to provide the best intervention that's needed. So what are the architectural challenges with that? Really similar to any system, scale. You need to have the ability to coordinate between a patient and typically a mobile app. You have to be able to take that data, because your mobile app is receiving data from sensors, drive it into a database, some type of relational database or unstructured database, run analytics on it, make decisions, present that, and then enable either the physician or the individual to make decisions around it. That's highly complex. You're integrating a diverse level of sensors, of devices, of inputs. It needs to be accurate. It needs to be timely, depending on the type of DTX system that you're using. Latency and access to data can be more or less important, but you need to be able to ingest intense amounts of data, read them, analyze, and learn from them. And most importantly, that all needs to be orchestrated. Anyone that has worked hands-on with it within IT systems from early 2000s, the beginning of my career, through to now, understands the criticality of systems working together. A system can break down with any component, and there is huge complexity. And we're going to go on and talk in a second around some of the security challenges around it, but there's massive complexity in the orchestration of those systems. And, those are some of the architectural risks. You need to be designing systems that are scalable, systems that can take data in, that can analyze and translate that data into information that's actionable, and do that within an orchestrated and harmonious ecosystem. So, a lot to be thinking of there for the architects and the product managers and product designers out there. One of the biggest challenges that comes with the expanding ecosystem, the growth of sensors and the growth of access to data, is security. I think everyone is aware here of the threat that is posed by data that sits within systems. It doesn't have to be personally identifiable data. It can be any type of data that is being transacted in order to make a decision. Increasingly, government organizations and individuals are attacking systems as opposed to traditional kind of attacks that we're used to, and they're using that data to create bad outcomes for people. So bad actors is the term that's used for those that are familiar with cybersecurity. And really, when you start to design a DTX ecosystem, you're looking to secure your attack vectors. How can people come in and look at the system and access the system, access the data, change the output of the data? You're looking to harden that. And one of the biggest challenges with the expansion of DTX, along with the expansion of AI and the role that's going to play in DTX, which we'll come on to, is really protecting ecosystems from that. Here at MedAcuity, we have around 7 cybersecurity initiatives underway at the moment with our clients. And that may be our client has brought us in, they've developed a device that they use within a theater, and they want to have that connected for something as simple as updates or data collection. And they need to look at the enhanced FDA guidelines around that and what it means. We have clients that have had letters from the FDA warning them about being in compliance with cybersecurity standards. And then we have clients that are building more complex ecosystems, leveraging the concepts we've talked about with sensors, pulling it in, and they want to understand how can they reduce and control those attack vectors, not only at the point of design, but at the point of operation. So, cybersecurity, whereas DTX and the access to data and sensors is fantastic, for the reasons we've gone through. It also represents a significant security challenge for people in the design, architecture, and management of those systems. And then operational challenges. So, when you are starting to leverage software and software-based systems for making key decisions and real-time decisions, the uptime and availability of those systems is obviously critical. If you have glitches in access, if you have latency in access to systems for those systems that are time sensitive, or you have security breaches, you have fairly catastrophic results that come from that. The volumes, in addition to that, of data can be significant, and you need to ensure that your architecture can scale to meet the ingestion of that data, that it has the right engines to actually read that data and interpret the results accurately. You need to be constantly, as I've just gone through, monitoring for security. So post-market, post-commercialization, you can design a system to get through approval and release. That's kind of day one, and then you get into the world of an expanded ecosystem, a growing market, and increasing challenges as we face across all aspects of life with cybersecurity threats. And you have the careful integration of the platforms and the automation around those to deliver the real-time results. So you release a system that's predominantly based on software. You are continually delivering software updates and functional updates through that. Development and release, testing and release of software has come on a long way. Monolithic architectures are still there, but a lot of people have moved to microservices. They can make adjustments, and they can make adjustments in a de-risked environment, but there are still very real impacts that can be had. My online email system and calendar system and document management system went down in a public outage from one of the large public cloud services on Monday. It's just an example of when you roll out patches and you roll out updates, things can go wrong. And when that is delivering real-time medication and real-time medical intervention for people, you obviously can't tolerate those sorts of outages or impacts. So the ongoing operational challenges come after you go into production.
Okay, thank you, Simon. That was excellent. So let's talk about regulatory challenges. So digital therapies pose unique questions and challenges for the regulators charged with approving them. For example, the elements on which the therapy might depend on, perhaps the operating system, connectivity, or even involved machine learning, all need regulating. And the changing application landscape of DTX is also a consideration. So how should regulators approve a product that by design will evolve continuously? And as a growing number of digital therapies learn through AI, naturally their algorithms will evolve, which lead to the device no longer being the same as the version that was initially reviewed and approved. So how should a follow-up review be deployed? The FDA is pushing hard to shape the digital healthcare revolution. And through the Digital Health Software Pre-Certification Program, they approve the developer organization instead of every software release, allowing for efficient and rapid iterations without constant approval cycles. And by doing so, the DTX developer can rapidly deploy iterations without being caught in constant approval cycles. Digital therapeutics pose unique questions and challenges due to their distinctive characteristics and mode of delivery. And here are some points to consider. There's evidence generation that's critical. So digital therapeutics require robust evidence to demonstrate their safety, efficacy, and clinical outcomes. And traditional regulatory frameworks may not be well suited to assess the unique aspects of DTX, such as adaptive algorithms. And regulators must adapt their evaluative methods to accommodate this evolving nature of DTX. Next is iterative nature. So digital therapeutics often undergo iterative updates and improvements based upon user feedback and advancements in the technology. And regulators face the challenge of striking the balance between ensuring patient safety and fostering innovation. Following is data privacy and security. And DTX often involves the collection, analysis, and storage of patient health data. So developers must address data privacy, security, and consent, Establishing robust guidelines for data protection is essential to ensure patient confidentiality. Also, there's validation of algorithms. So many digital therapeutics rely on AI to deliver personalized interventions. Regulators must, and they need to evaluate how long these algorithms work, ensuring transparency and accuracy. Validating the algorithms becomes a challenge as they evolve over time or have components that are considered trade secrets. Next is quality control. So we need consistent quality adherence during the development of digital therapeutics. Standards for quality control must be established by addressing any issues related to the user experience, the interface, or the technology. And last is the post-market surveillance. So continuous post-market monitoring of digital therapeutics is essential to support safety and assess long-term effectiveness. Mechanisms are needed to analyze real-world data, track patient outcomes, and quickly respond to any safety concerns. Collaborative efforts among regulators, healthcare professionals, industry stakeholders, and patients are essential to establish guidelines, standards, and best practices for safe and effective deployment of digital therapeutics in the healthcare setting.
Thanks for that, Greg. So how does AI start to influence DTX? Well, I think, broadly, AI is, we're seeing it everywhere at the moment. Any news outlet you go to, any social media platform you go to, AI is talked about extensively. The majority of the conversations right now, at least from my perspective, are talking about the challenges that AI is bringing in, our ability to control it. Greg just went through, that. How do you control or how do you approve a system day one that will learn and potentially change its intended use? And the risks that it prevents in society. But there's huge benefits that, if we can manage that, are going to come. And it's no surprise that AI is tightly coupled with the expansion of DTX. I ran a panel a couple of months ago with some industry leaders around leveraging AI in surgical robotics. And, it generated some very interesting debate on the effectiveness and the improvement that AI brings. And the evidence is fairly compelling, but it's also matched with the challenges that come. So it's, AI is reported by Infodesk to indicate that 72% of companies believe it'll be crucial to how they do business moving forward. Major pharmaceutical and medical device companies are incorporating into their strategies. And not only is it of huge benefit within the actual DTX solutions, or has the ability to drive huge benefits, it is also playing a key role, or forecast to play a key role in improving clinical trials. And you can see in the image there, it's improving it around the design, the patient enrichment and recruitment, the site selection, the monitoring, and the operational data that comes from it. So huge amount of excitement around this, obviously not just within DTX, but on a global scale in every sector of our lives, huge amount of excitement and concern, but definitely an area of significant investment. And we are working with a number of people who are incorporating either out of the box AI in their solutions, or they're looking to augment existing solutions with AI. And as we've said, we're going to go into a couple of use cases around that. So what does the future look like for DTX with that if we move forward, Greg?
Next slide.
So the opportunity. So a recent study, this is relating to DTX, of 1,300 clinicians by the American Medical Association found that only 3.8% are using digital health tools. There is absolutely a complexity to integrating DTX into our healthcare reimbursement system, into our hospitals. Right now, obviously, the cost of money is high, and investment into emerging DTX solutions is challenged as everywhere is. But overall, there is a huge opportunity for further adoption. We're expecting to see broader integration into digital therapeutics and clinical workflows. I know hospitals are trying to work out how to get DTX in, and one of the biggest barriers is that cybersecurity element that we talked about. But there's also a huge opportunity to really become significantly closer to the end user, the consumer, the patient. So I spoke at the beginning about some of my previous work experience. And a company before, I did a lot of work with mobile apps in the retail sector. And you can see the bullet there, gamification. And that may sound strange in this context, but gamification is really aimed at getting users integrated and absorbed into the digital experience that they're going through. Greg is going to talk in a minute about the importance of UI and UX around DTX. But one of the great things about DTX is it really brings or gives far more control to the patient than they traditionally had. You know, they have access to real-time medical information. They are interacting with healthcare experts in the safety and comfort of their own environments. Think about the stress and anxiety that can come through going to a doctor or going to a hospital, and the confusion layered on top of that stress and anxiety, amplifies. You're going to be able to now start to experience personalized in-home care and in-home interactions. And I think that's going to drive a lot of community development and community expansion around this area. Big tech, unsurprisingly, is accelerating into DTX and healthcare, and the opportunities layer on those subjects we've been talking about. Better data ultimately is going to produce better analytics. You've got the complexity of the algorithms, but it's going to give a full patient 360 view, and it's going to give that personalized patient 360 view. And then you have this huge accelerator coming behind it. So we've been using machine learning for a number of years, but now the application of artificial intelligence, once that's fully worked out, is going to dramatically accelerate the effectiveness of data and sensor information and decisions that are made around that. So huge opportunities for growth. And the next slide shows, in 2022, we can go to that, where the clinical trials for digital therapeutics have been and what the anticipated growth is. So, you can all read there, but the market size in 2022 was 4.3 billion. The CAGR around that is just under 30%, or forecast by MarketWatch to be just under 30%, with a growth to just under 20 billion by 2028. Unsurprisingly, because of the cost and the money within healthcare, the US is leading the market. You can see there 616 clinical trials in digital therapeutics, but across the world, significant investment and interest here. Europe, 218, and then significant numbers across the Far East. To look at this in 2023 and 2024, as with that CAGR shows, I think we're going to see significant growth and development there, but a huge burgeoning market that is dining itself in, I think, for significant changes to the way we consume healthcare moving forward.
All right. Thank you, Simon. So we're going to talk about the DTX ecosystem, mapping it relative to categories, clinical claims, and human-centric design. So digital therapeutics can be categorized into three main groups: standalone, augmented, and complementary. And understanding these categories provides a valuable insights into the diverse applications and roles for DTX development. So let's explore each category. We have standalone DTX, which refers to interventions that can independently prevent, manage, or treat specific conditions without the need for additional therapies. And they're self-contained interventions which leverage digital platforms to deliver evidence-based treatment directly to patients. They often provide education, monitoring, and behavioral change tools aiming to achieve positive health outcomes autonomously. The next is augmented DTX, which works in conjunction with traditional therapies or medications to enhance their effectiveness. They provide digital interventions that complement an existing treatment approach. These solutions include digital tools for monitoring symptoms, medication adherence, or lifestyle management. By offering personalized feedback, education, and real-time insights, augmented DTX interventions enhance the effectiveness of traditional treatments. The next is complementary DTX, and these are designed to supplement traditional healthcare approaches by providing supportive interventions. These interventions focus on aspects such as behavior or lifestyle change or education. And these solutions aim to improve engagement and adherence while complementing the care provided by healthcare professionals. It's important to understand that these three main categories of digital therapeutics are critical and crucial for several reasons. They help the formulation and development of the following disciplines. The first is treatment selection and integration. And by understanding whether a DTX intervention falls under standalone, augmented, or complementary category, healthcare professionals can best determine which aligns with the patient's needs and treatment plan. This enables the seamless integration into the patient's care strategy. Of equal importance is tailored patient care, which allows for standalone DTX for independent management, augmented DTX to enhance traditional therapies, or complementary DTX to support existing care. So a tailored approach optimizes patient outcomes and improves overall healthcare delivery. Next is effective resource allocation. By recognizing the potential of each category, healthcare systems can make informed decisions regarding investment, implementation, and integration of DTX solutions. And this helps optimize resource allocation, ensuring the most appropriate utilization of digital therapeutics. Of primary importance is regulatory considerations. So each category of DTX may have specific regulatory requirements. And by understanding the distinctions, regulatory bodies can develop appropriate frameworks to evaluate and approve DTX interventions. This clarity supports patient safety, data privacy, and adherence to quality standards. And last but not least is patient empowerment. So it's critical to educate patients about the different categories of DTX to empower them to actively participate in their own care. The understanding of DTX categories enables patients to make informed decisions regarding their treatment and their journey along their engagement with DTX applications. The next slide is critical claims. So in this slide, I will outline Digital Therapeutics' 3 categories of clinical claims. So the first category is digital services, which are digital therapeutics that serve to modify patient behavior, but do not claim a specific therapeutic benefit. Then there's adjunctive digital therapeutics, which are utilized alongside traditional therapies to improve clinical outcomes, such as an adjunct to medication. And then the third is digital drug replacements, which are digital therapeutics replacing traditional therapies which provide clinical benefits. So these 3 categories of clinical claims provide a framework to differentiate the roles and applications of digital therapeutics. And they encompass a range of interventions, from digital services that promote preventative measures to adjunctive DTX solutions that enhance traditional treatments, or even digital interventions that may act as replacements for traditional drugs. So the first category is digital services, which encompasses interventions that provide digital tools, resources, or support to assist individuals in managing their health and their well-being. This may include health tracking apps, a symptom management platform, or lifestyle coaching programs that aim to enhance overall health. The second category is adjunct digital therapeutics, which include interventional aspects that are used alongside traditional therapies to enhance their effectiveness or support patient management. And these interventions often leverage digital platforms to deliver personalized intervention, behavioral therapy, or cognitive training to complement existing treatment approaches. The third is digital drug replacements, which is a category of DTX interventions that serve as standalone treatments, potentially replacing or reducing the need for traditional pharmaceutical interventions. So these interventions may utilize software programs, virtual reality technologies, or artificial intelligence to deliver evidence-based treatment for specific health conditions. These 3 categories of DTX clinical claims possess significant importance for several reasons. The first is research and development standpoint, which provides the framework for focused research and development efforts leading to advancements in preventative strategies, treatment support, and the pursuit of alternative treatment options. The next is market understanding and adoption. So this is a clear categorization of clinical claims that focuses your market understanding and adoption. it is important to define the purpose of the benefits that lead to informed decision-making regarding adoption and reimbursement for healthcare organizations, payers, as well as patients. And then there's regulatory considerations. So by categorizing DTX clinical claims, this helps regulatory bodies in evaluating and approving interventions effectively. Understanding these categories help regulators establish guidelines and standards that align with clinical claims, ensuring patient safety, efficacy, and the compliance within regulatory frameworks. Next is custom healthcare solutions. So this category of DTX clinical claims allows for a tailored healthcare approach. Healthcare providers can identify the most suitable category for a particular patient, considering factors such as conditions being treated, treatment goals, and the patient's preferences. And this approach ensures that patients receive interventions that align with their unique healthcare requirements. Lastly, enhancing treatment outcomes. So this serves a distinct purpose in improving treatment outcomes. Digital services focus on empowering individuals to manage their health, promoting preventative measures and lifestyle modifications. So the next slide, we're going to talk about human-centered design. This is of great value in the realm of DTX as it places the patient at the forefront and improves usability and accessibility and tailors the application and interventions to the individual need, ultimately enhancing engagement and behavior as well as change, empowering the patient, ensuring real-world relevance relative to impact. Below are an essential list of digital therapeutic design elements that are born ultimately from user-centric requirements. The first is the user-centric approach, and this places the patient and/or the clinician at the core of the design process. It involves understanding of user needs, preferences, and challenges to create DTX interventions that address their healthcare requirements. And by prioritizing the patient experience, we can generate solutions that are intuitive and resonate with patients and support adherence. The next is usability and accessibility. So this design supports intuitive, seamless interfaces and interactions. And by prioritizing usability and intuitive navigation, DTX interventions become more accessible to individuals with varying levels of digital literacy or technology proficiency. Next is tailored personalized interventions. So by understanding individuals and patients' preferences and goals, designers can develop solutions that cater to unique healthcare needs. And this improves the relevance and effectiveness of DTX interventions, increasing adherence to treatment plans. Next is improved treatment adherence. So we strive to effectively engage and motivate patients to initiate and sustain adherence by incorporating persuasive design elements, behavioral science techniques, and interactive features. Designers can create compelling and engaging experiences that facilitate behavioral change and better health outcomes. Following is empowerment and patient activation. So we must empower patients and healthcare professionals by involving them in the design process and considering them as experts in their own health. And this collaborative approach fosters ownership of DTX engagement and the healthcare journey. Next is workflow integration. So properly developed DTX interventions aligned with real-world context. By understanding the end user's daily routines, their challenges, and their environment, designers can create DTX solutions that increase the likelihood of sustained usage and impact. And this approach promotes the practicality and effectiveness of DTX interventions in real-world settings. And last is iterative improvement. So good DTX design embraces an iterative approach, involving continuous user feedback and incorporating that into the design process. This iterative improvement cycle allows for constant refinement based upon real-world user experiences and needs. And by adopting this human-centric approach, designers can create DTX interventions that truly resonate with patients, leading to improved healthcare outcomes and patient satisfaction. So next, we're going to go into some case studies, and I'll let Simon take over from there.
Thanks, Greg. Can we just go back? I think we've gone forward to, if we can go back to.
Sorry about that.
All right, cool. Thanks for that, Greg. So let's now talk about, some of our experience actually working with maybe some of you listening or our client base around it. There's two use cases I want to go through. One, which you can see here, is closed loop diabetes, and the next is, medication compliance. So, this is a client that we've worked with for 5 or 6 years, but for over a decade, they were laser focused on the Holy Grail for treating the young and the old who suffer from type 1 diabetes, leveraging an automated closed loop wearable insulin management solution. For any of you that have yourselves or a family member or a friend who manage diabetes, you understand how personal and how challenging that journey can be. I have a very close friend, and watching them have to test their blood sugar levels and then measure the insulin dose that goes around it is something they handle incredibly well. But as someone looking from the outside, it's very invasive into your day-to-day life. And so, this client really wants to create that closed loop. So the challenge was the company was young, relatively small at the time. So we're going back 6 years, and needed architectural guidance around a wearable insulin pump. They needed reliable communication and continuous glucose monitoring for the infusion pump, and handled that in a safety and an effective way. And the clinical research team knew they had first mover advantage, but there's a lot of pressure to accelerate development. So they brought MedAcuity in with our experience on creating secure connected devices. And we worked with their architecture team, their design team, to implement and test an embedded system that enabled BLE integration between the device and the app to then deliver personalized insulin to the recipient. They got that system through FDA approval, and they were a first mover in that market. Right now, we are working with that client on the next generation of it, but it's been a huge success. It has transformed many people's lives and taken something that is onerous, stressful, and complex, and really, given them a far better quality of life through leveraging continual monitoring and delivery of insulin through the leveraging of technology. So, I think a fantastic use case there. And if we go to the second use case, this is slightly different. It is not yet in commercialization, is not yet in the marketplace. But it is around medication compliance and the attempt to create a holistic medication compliance system that is not just for the delivery of a single drug, but that can be used for the delivery of multiple medications and multiple levels of intervention. So historically, pharma efficacy and patient wellness is determined by several key factors: the patient, the caregiver, devices, medication that are not necessarily integrated into a patient-centric holistic fashion. And at the time we started working with this client, no current platform was leveraging AI algorithms to really understand that full 360 view, to understand, were people taking their medication, were they accessing it, were the results of that delivering the benefits they were looking for, and was it the right level of dosage. So a very challenging initiative, orchestration between artificial intelligence, many devices, looking at social considerations around the patient and their lifestyle. And it integrated third-party devices. So if you think about the previous use case, you had a closed-loop solution, you had a very controlled solution. Everything was designed and manufactured by that client. Here, we were working with this client to integrate other clients of theirs, devices. And not only were you using different technologies, but it was also a global rollout. So data, MDR, HIPAA, FDA compliance, GDPR, many different geographies for data compliance and needs to deal with, treating chronic and acute medical needs. So MedAcuity worked with them to create, to understand the architecture they're looking for, to work on implementing an agile software development lifecycle process. The architecture was built in part on public cloud ecosystems, which may sound strange to some of you because of the PHI data that's involved, but we leveraged some of the code pipelines that are available for Amazon Web Services that gave, a dramatic acceleration in the instantiation of those pipelines and the ability to test and release code. We worked with them with interoperabilities around the device and those devices connecting via BLE into the mobile device, and the continuous system validation that came after for V&V. So far, we've successfully executed automation for formal platform validation and software verification, and the platform is targeted for submission and approval in 2024. So one use case that is live and active in the marketplace with a closed loop, and one that is integrating multiple different sensors and data inputs to give then access to a broader range of drug deliveries that go around it. So hopefully that gives some view as to, the kind of work we've done.
Excellent. Thank you, Simon. So thank you for joining us on this webinar on digital therapeutics. And I hope you found this introduction informative and inspiring. Now we'll segue into the Q&A portion, and please feel free to ask any questions you may have. If you'd enjoyed this webinar content, please follow MIDI and MedAcuity on social media, or if you'd like to download informative industry-related white papers and supporting materials, please visit our websites. And lastly, if you would like to touch base with me or Simon directly, we can be reached. Please feel free to do so by using the contact information listed on this page. So Simon and Monty, maybe we can hit a couple of the questions from the audience. I know we're kind of running late on time, maybe one or two.
So far we have one. Before, the only other question was asked was about receiving the presentation, which, as you said before, will be sent out soon after, within the next few days, after we get it cut down and edited. But another question we have by Chris Miller is, how will this be dealt with from notified body auditors like BSI, TUV, and SGS as examples?
Okay, so I wish Chris was on the line. To be more specific, in how your DTX solution is addressed by regulatory bodies, basically, I'm going to give certain advice because the answer may be, or the question may be too broad to answer. But ultimately, my advice is, as you're developing DTX solutions, is to engage early and often with regulatory bodies and applications in order to gain an understanding of the various categories and how the regulatory bodies may view your applications in AI. We've designed, recently we designed a stroke detection system using AI and machine learning, which was a unique de novo application. And by engaging the FDA and other regulatory bodies, not only from a hardware standpoint, but software, it was critical to make them part of your process, whatever regulatory bodies you're working with, whether it's domestic or international, within your development program. And by doing so, you're going to mitigate risk as you go along and make your appropriate decisions beyond R&D, and then once you segue into design controls. So again, whatever regulatory bodies you're working with, or whatever standards you're working, with regards to your device application, again, engage early and incorporate that into your workflow.
Wonderful. And then we have another question asked by Ms. Mai just now. What are top challenges for product engineers in designing complex software for DTX products?
Yeah, so I think we've got about 30 seconds left. So if you go back to that slide where I talked about the architectural challenges, the security challenges, the operational challenges, that really sums up a lot of the challenges there. How do you integrate ecosystems that are gathering large amounts of data, having to interpret them, having to integrate compute, connectivity, sensors, algorithms, and the training of algorithms that map around that and keep that working in a harmonious, orchestrated, and safe environment. So, security is a key element around that, but the underpinning architecture is critical as well to make sure you designed it for the scale and the load that needs to be met. That last use case I went into, where you're connecting multiple disparate devices and you're going out to different providers, had huge ingestion ingress requirements. And so we had to design an architecture that could scale that. So, as Greg went through in terms of meeting regulator issues, you've got to know exactly your use base. You've got to understand the inputs from the ecosystem, the quantities and types of flow of data that are coming through that, and design to your peaks, or at least design an architecture that can scale, that can flex up and down to manage those peaks, so you're providing optimal data intelligence into the solution.
Excellent. Well, I think we're at the end of our webinar. We really appreciate everybody's time today. Again, thank you for attending, and thank you to AdvaMed as well as Simon and MedAcuity for joining us here. And we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you all again, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you again, Greg and Simon. I appreciate your contribution. And I also want to encourage everyone, again, to reach out to them with anything, any follow-ups or any questions, because they would love to continue the conversation beyond this presentation.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.